This is what peace looks like. I'm not chasing drama. I'm not matching energy. I'm not explaining my peace to people who love chaos. I fought too hard for this joy. I've prayed too long for this glow. God brought me through too much for me to hand over my peace.
To her family and friends, 37-year-old Shemica Miller was light in human form, funny, warm, a little sharp at the tongue, but soft where it counted. A God-fearing woman who clocked in, leveled up, and got paid enough to taste a life most people only scroll past. She wore success like a fitted outfit, tailored, intentional, earned. But to everybody else, the ones watching from a distance, the ones who didn't have access to her laughter or her prayers, Shemica felt like a question nobody wanted to ask out loud. By day, she was the nurse you trusted, on time, informed, steady hands, calm voice, the kind of presence that makes people feel like they might actually make it through whatever brought them in. But by night, the script flipped. Hotel rooms, dim lighting, slow R&B humming in the background like a warning nobody translated. Photos, videos, angles that told a different story, one with gaps, contradictions, and just enough mystery to make people pause mid-scroll. And while most people kept it moving, others leaned into the speculation, quietly questioning her appearance, her build, her voice, and eventually, whether Shemica had been born a man. Nobody said it loud, but the internet doesn't need volume to be cruel. Then March 27, 2026 hit, and whatever illusion was holding everything together snapped. Shemica called police, said 2 men were following her, trying to push drugs. But the timeline didn't cooperate. Those same men had already been there, hours earlier. Same hotel, same room, and Shemica, who lived over 4 hours away in Arlington, was suddenly in Beaumont, telling a story that didn't quite hold its weight. This wasn't random. This wasn't coincidence. And whatever really happened in that room, it didn't start that morning, but it sure as hell ended there. Welcome to the American Crime Femicide channel. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for future uploads. Before Shemica became the woman on a 911 call with gunshots ringing through the line, she was just a girl raised in Jackson, Mississippi, surrounded by family that loved her and expected her to become something more than just another statistic. Back then, in 2011, she was going by the last name Williams, living in Louisiana and doing what a lot of people say they're going to do, but never actually finish, building something real. She attended Hines Community College before moving on to Louisiana Technical College, eventually earning her nursing degree from Louisiana State University. None of it came easy. She worked security while going to school, balancing long nights, early mornings, and whatever pieces of a personal life she could squeeze in between. It was a grind, but Shemica wasn't built to stay stuck. She wanted money, stability, and a life that looked better than where she started. And she worked for it. And she didn't stop there. She went on to accomplish a master's degree in psychology from the University of Texas, adding another layer to a life that, on paper, looked disciplined, focused, and successful. But even back then, there were glimpses of another side. Her social media told a story that didn't quite match the clean professional image of a nurse on the rise. Scroll through her old pages, and you'd see it. Photo after photo of Shemica in hotel rooms, often in swimsuits or barely dressed, posing in ways that weren't exactly subtle. It wasn't occasional. It was consistent. The kind of consistency that makes people stop and wonder what's really going on. Different men would appear in her posts. Men who didn't look like boyfriends or long-term partners, just faces, rotating, temporary. And while it could have been written off as harmless fun, the pattern didn't sit right with everyone. It started to feel like something more, something transactional, something calculated. And then came the quiet conversations, the ones people have behind closed doors or in group chats where nobody has to be accountable for what they say. People started noticing things. Her height, her hands, her feet, the presence of an Adam's apple. Small details on their own, but together, enough to spark speculation. Was Shemica transgender? Was she born a man? Her family, her friends, her co-workers, they referred to her as a woman, stood beside her as a woman, and for them, that was enough. But outside that circle, the whispers got louder. There were people who believed this wasn't just speculation, that it was the truth being hidden in plain sight, that everything about Shemica was a performance, a carefully constructed identity masking who she really was. No confirmation, just assumptions stacked on observations. And for a long time, that question sat there unanswered, growing heavier with every post she made. As the years passed, Shemica's life shifted. By 2026, she was no longer in Louisiana. She had relocated to Arlington, Texas, working as a nurse at Texas Health and making the kind of money she had been chasing since those early college days. On paper, she made it, but the lifestyle, that didn't change. It just upgraded. The hotel rooms got nicer. The lighting got better. The aesthetic became cleaner, more polished. Gone were the dated setups, replaced with modern spaces, white linens, and curated visuals that made her posts look intentional, almost like branding. She wasn't just posting anymore. She was presenting, sometimes dressed as what people would call a naughty nurse, sometimes showing off her body in ways that made it clear she wanted to be seen, wanted to be desired. There were signs she had undergone enhancements, possibly breast implants, further aligning her appearance with the image she was presenting. But if you looked past the visuals and actually read what she was posting, things started to feel off. On March 12, 2026, she made a post that raised more questions than it answered. Rules to being able to enter this playground. You get no attention and disqualified. A playground? For who? And why was a registered nurse, someone with a stable, respectable career, setting what looked like entry requirements for random men online? And that line, not knowing who you really are, felt a little too loaded, too specific, combined with the final rule about threesomes. It painted a picture that didn't align with the image of someone just casually dating. It suggested structure, access, boundaries around something deeper than conversation. And to many, it looked like Shemica wasn't just living a double life. She was running one. Then came the confirmation that shut the speculation down. Shemica revealed she was transgender. The whispers, the assumptions, the dissecting of her appearance, it all landed in one place. What had been questioned was now stated. And while some people accepted it without hesitation, others didn't. Especially not the type of men she appeared to be interacting with. Because for some, that revelation doesn't just change perception, it changes everything. And in environments where desire, secrecy, and ego collide, that kind of truth can turn dangerous fast. Which brings everything to March 27th. The official story. Shemica called police, reporting that two men approached her in the parking lot of the Baymont Inn in Beaumont, Texas, trying to solicit her for drugs. She said she left and was followed by those same men in a gray 2016 Toyota Camry. She even provided the license plate. The call moved between agencies as she drove, eventually reaching the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office around 6:30 a.m. She told dispatch the vehicle was making a U-turn on Highway 73. Then, while still on the phone, gunshots rang out. Deputies later found her black Dodge Charger in the median, riddled with bullet holes. Shemica was in the driver's seat, slumped over, dead from a gunshot wound. But here's where the story starts to fall apart. Surveillance footage showed that same gray Toyota Camry arriving at the hotel around 3 a.m., hours before the 911 call. Two men got out and went into a room, allegedly the same room as Shemica. Around 6 a.m., they left. Those men were later identified as Demarcus Dewayne Elam and Javeon Javon Blount. Investigators confirmed the vehicle matched the one Shemica described, and footage also showed her car following there shortly before the shooting. So this wasn't random, not even close. She lived in Arlington, over 4 hours away, but ended up in Beaumont, in the same hotel, in the same room, with the same men she later claimed were strangers trying to sell her drugs. That's not coincidence. That's connection.
2 men have been charged with murder after a woman died while on the phone with 911.
25-year-old Javeon Blount and 28-year-old Demarcus Elam charged with murder in the shooting death of 37-year-old Shemica Miller from Arlington. Justice of the Peace Ben Collins Sr. signed the warrants, and Magistrate Mark DeRuin arraigned Blount, setting his bond at $1.5 million. He will arraign Elam today.
We obtained the probable cause affidavit for Blount's arrest, which indicates BPD got a call after 6 a.m. Saturday for a woman that said she had been solicited for drugs by 2 men in the parking lot of the Baymont Inn on I-10. She said she left and the 2 men followed her shortly after. While on the phone with dispatch and traveling on Highway 73 near the Veolia plant, multiple gunshots were heard over the phone. Jefferson County Patrol responded to the area, where they found a black Dodge Charger in the median with multiple apparent bullet holes throughout. The investigation revealing that the woman had stayed at the Baymont Inn.
Surveillance footage showed a gray Toyota Camry arrive at the hotel. 2 men got out and entered a room. Then around 3 hours later, the same 2 left the hotel in a car. The 2 men identified as Blount and Elam. The investigation later matched that car to that of the one of the victim was describing. The sheriff's office says there was probable cause to believe the 2 men caused the victim's death.
Both men have now been charged with murder. Their bonds set at $2 million and $1.5 million. On paper, that looks like justice moving the way it's supposed to. Swift, decisive, wrapped up with a bow that says case closed. But justice on paper and justice in real life are 2 very different things. Because for Shemica's family, there's no number high enough, no charge serious enough, no courtroom outcome that can undo what was taken from them. A life is gone, a voice is silenced, and all that's left now are questions that don't have clean answers. Because the truth is, this wasn't just 2 men randomly choosing the wrong person on the wrong day. This was something deeper than that. This was a collision of choices, of identity, of secrets, of desire, and of risk. Shemica was living a life that didn't ask for permission. She stepped into who she wanted to be, built the image she wanted to present, and moved through the world on her own terms. And for a while, that worked. It looked like control. It looked like confidence. It looked like freedom. But the reality is, not everybody moves through that kind of life the same way. Not everybody reacts the same when truth, perception, and ego get mixed together in private spaces, especially not behind closed doors, where there are no witnesses, no filters, and no accountability in real time. The same lifestyle that gave her power, attention, and control also placed her in rooms with people she didn't fully know, people whose reactions she couldn't predict, people who may have felt deceived, exposed, or challenged in ways that turned deadly. And that's the part people don't like to sit with, because it's uncomfortable. It forces you to look at how fast things can shift when reality doesn't match expectation, when desire turns into anger, when curiosity turns into confrontation, when a situation that started one way ends in violence. Shemica wasn't just a headline. She wasn't just a viral story or a police report. She was a person who worked, who achieved, who built a life, who made choices, some that elevated her, and some that placed her directly in harm's way. And now she's gone. And whatever really happened inside that hotel room, the conversations, the energy, the moment everything shifted, that truth didn't start on that highway with a 911 call and gunshots in the background. It started long before that, and it ended with her life. May Shemica Miller rest in peace.